What is going on, YouTube? I am back with more tutorials, more After Effects. Yes, I did fall off, but I'm coming back. With the new year coming around, I do have a new agenda for some more tutorials, partly because my wife, who has been transitioning from graphic design to product design, is now doing a ton of new projects, particularly because she's been doing 100 days of UI. So she's been doing about a project a week, and she's got a ton of cool projects that I'm going to get to animate. So now I can just focus on After Effects and really kind of show you guys how I use After Effects. So it'd be great. You guys should check out her work. She's got her Dribble portfolio or her Behance portfolio. A lot of the projects you'll see there are the ones that I'm going to start to animate. So come the new year, I will start to do about 1 or 2 tutorials a month, varying between her 100 days of UI, and I got some tutorials lined up that I'm going to be doing that are more golf related. Keep the comments coming in, and if you have more questions about After Effects, drop a comment. I'd be happy to figure it out and even make a tutorial out of it. So let's jump into this designated desserts. Welcome back to another tutorial, guys. This one is going to be a little brief than the ones that I have planned in the future. This was kind of like the first one to kick it off. As I mentioned in the intro, these are going to be designs that my wife is going to be doing. So don't forget, check out her stuff on her Behance and her Dribble. A lot of these designs that she's going to be doing is going to be UI UX product related, very interface dashboard heavy kind of stuff, which is what she does. So it'll be cool because I can take the design element out of this and we can focus directly on the tutorial. So here's the actual animation. So you'll see here's the final design, and I'll jump into the Illustrator file here in a second, but here's the final QuickTime animation, and here we go. It's cruising along. It's this nice little cone, get it? The play off of an ice cream cone and a real cone. Ha ha ha. Yeah, so you can see animation is fairly simple. Not too much going on. I mean, at that speed bump, I tried to make it as realistic, quote unquote, as possible, but I'm not a good frame by frame traditional animator, so this was something that definitely tested my skills and ability a little bit. But the concept was kind of there when she showed me the design. I was like, oh cool, what if we just started on the left and then it like sped up onto like the environment side, and then it kind of hit a speed bump or did something. That came later in the process when I started animating it, but this is the final design. Originally, I was going to take you through step by step on how I animated it, but because it took so long to animate, it was going to be tough to do if it was step by step animation, but that is the goal for the future tutorials. So with this one, we're just going to kind of step you through the artwork and then see how I kind of implemented it into After Effects, and then I'm going to show you the comps that I have set up in After Effects for animating it. So I'm going to minimize that. Let's get out of these Finder windows, and here's a final design. So she used Illustrator for this one, which I prefer. I mean, I'm fine with any other design application, Figma, Sketch, Illustrator, Photoshop, but Illustrator has, for me, it's like you get the cleanest artwork in After Effects, and I use this handy little plugin right here too, so that always helps. So took most of the artwork, I relayered all the structures how I felt that it would be the best bet for me, because I knew what I was going to animate, what I needed to pull apart. Luckily with Overlord, it brings everything as a native shape, so I just separated it based off of what I wanted to separate it, which was, I think, yeah, just the main scene for that one, and then the main car for the left, and then the 2 background images as masks, and then the background color. So then after you overlord all your images in, that'll take you to the After Effects file. So this is the main comp right here, the designated desserts you'll see as a main comp right here. So you'll see I use those square mats as the mat for the main animation, and then I split the animation. So what happens is it's actually one comp inside of these 2 mats. So when it transitions from the left side to the right side, it's actually the same animation. It's matted in between 2 different mats on top of this, so that's why it seems like it's going from one to another, and that's why the timing is so perfect. So I'll break that down here. Basically, we have this first comp, which is all the car animation pretty much, and it's just kind of taking you through. You'll see if I zoom in here, let me turn this off, you can actually see, you see the white background. Let's change this composition settings so that we can see it a little better. So now you can see, like, I kind of like don't get too often get to play with strokes and stuff like when I actually do traditionally animate. So this was kind of fun. So had some like smoke emitting, like he's like burning rubber, and then kind of zoom back out, and then it moves from left to right as I mentioned, and then it does like it's pretty much stationary. So that's the cool part. That's the trickery of the background moving in that next comp that I'll show you is pretty much giving most of the movement. So I just timed it so that when it hit the cone in the other comp that this car would react. So most of the movement is actually coming from let's see here, hold on, I gotta kind of reassess myself too. I haven't really looked at this comp in a while either, so I'm just gonna be honest with you guys. So there you see, I'll just go through the actual movement of the car. You see the car there's the main null that's controlling pretty much all these layers as I separated each one. So like if I collapse out, you could see there's quite a bit of keyframe work going on in here in this comp. So I separated pretty much everything so that I can control it. Some are native to them, some are pre-comped, like the window and stuff like that if I zoom in. So let me come back out in this timeline. And you can see each individual element I kind of treated and kind of went in and animated each individual element. Stuff is parented to certain individual main pieces that are like, so for example, the shadows parented to this main ice cream cone comp. So however that piece moves, the shadow will move the same way. And so kind of just did your traditional keyframing. I mean, it's just mostly PSR, position, rotation, scale. I didn't really need to use scale for this one, but a lot of the movement comes from just going in and just off animating each layer so that it looks like it's like interacting with each other. Obviously I looked at some videos to see how like bouncing would interact. I mean, it didn't have to be perfect. It's kind of got this cartoony vibe anyway, so it could be kind of rough. I'm actually having sound design worked on it right now too, so the final piece when it goes on Vimeo will have some kind of like ice cream truck kind of cartoony sound car effects and stuff, so it should be pretty cool. So let's jump back into this main comp again. So you'll see that car's comp, all the animation that was going on is within that main comp. As I mentioned before, the car moving from left to right in its comp is actually open, but it's matted here, so it's in two separate pieces. So that takes us to the moving scene, which relatively was pretty straightforward. I didn't do anything too complex with this. I think I just took a lot of these I parented a lot of the shapes to a null, and then I moved the null to a position where I guided it off. You see those two guides right there, the blue ones right here. And so I just timed it pretty much. I just set an expression loop so that it would set to continuously keep looping on all these nulls position, and that so that when it hits its back point, it'll just keep going right in the main comp. So in this one it didn't work out that way. It ended up looping and didn't need to loop for that long, so I just took the loops off and then I just animated the position so that it would match. It's only a 10-second animation, so I only really needed to animate 10 seconds worth of stuff content going, so didn't need to reloop. So that part didn't work out. So now you can see why I didn't go step by step, because there was a lot of learning that I needed to do while I was animating this to see what would work, what wouldn't work. So in this one it's not too much. The main comp here is just a lot of the background scenes, which is the trees and then the sky and then the road, but in the main comp you can tell it's just pieces moving. So I just made it look like that, so then I didn't have any looping issues or anything like that, because then when it starts back up, when the car comes back to its starting point, that animation for the environment will pick back up, because it's not constantly moving, because at the beginning it doesn't move until it actually jumps back in, it jumps into that environment. So that was a cool part. So it took a little bit of staging for this one. As you can tell, there's a lot of layers involved in this, so it took a little bit of planning. Took a lot of trial and error, which I kind of wanted to experiment with. Don't get to necessarily do these kind of animations that often, especially when I'm working Monday through Friday or even freelance wise. So this gave me a good opportunity to kind of animate something a little different. So pretty straightforward. I mean, if there's more questions on other things that I didn't cover, comment below and I'm happy to answer it. And again, when I go through the next tutorial, I'm going to pre-plan this a lot better so that when I actually do record it, you'll see me animating the next one as I'm doing it. So I think versus me in this one, I tried to animate it first and then reanimate it again to record it. That didn't work out too well. So let me just play this comp through, and then you can see how it kind of loops through and it goes into the next scene. So I'm kind of proud about this one. I was a little hesitant about animating it because I wasn't sure if I was going to be able to pull it off, but I'm happy with the final product. I think it's dribble worthy. So yeah, with that, I mean, not too much else I can say. No, I know I should have kicked into actually animating it, but next time I will with the second tutorial. I think the next project coming up is going to be something more interface related. I think it's a car interface, like Tesla interface, I think she's working on. So I think once that's complete, I'll be pushing that into my pipeline to get that tutorial done too. But that one, I will actually show you guys step by step on how I animate it. All because I actually do that a lot more often for my work related stuff, so I'll be able to kind of gut it and plan it and animate it a little better than the traditional animation for this one. So here's that AI file again. You know what, I'm gonna put this whole project up to share so you can download it in the description. Take the project, open it up, play around with it, feel free to use it. I mean, it doesn't matter to me or my wife. We're happy people, so let's give credit where credit's due, and you're happy to use it however you please. Yeah, and otherwise, if you have any questions, just feel free to message me again. So this was kind of cut and dry, I'm sorry, I know, but just wanted to kind of get a feel for how I can start these tutorials. I took this first project and kind of just showed a little bit of overview on how I did it. So download it if you want to, open it, check out. If you have questions, comment, and I will try to answer them as soon as I can. But with that, there goes that first tutorial. So in 2021, we'll have a lot more tutorials coming. My aim is to do one a month. I'm just trying to keep the aim reachable versus what I did before. So other than that, you can tell I've been doing a lot more golf. So a lot of these tutorials will have to do with golf stuff too, because I've been getting a lot of questions on how I do a lot of my edits with golf too. So keep it locked, and remember, subscribe, like, comment, check out my other stuff too, and we'll keep it going with more tutorials and more After Effects. All right, guys, peace out. What is going on? Okay, let's just